what she said to us when she looked was, okay, he's coming right now. He has brown hair. Get ready to push. Hey guys, today I want to tell you the story about my labor and birth of my son Oliver. Now Oliver's actually 2 years old, so I might forget some of the little details, which is actually why I wanted to make this video, so that in the future I can remember my births. So, to start off, my pregnancy with Oliver was actually really rough. I had a lot of things happen, kind of complications and just stuff that happened that probably caused him to be premature. So some of the things that happened, just to like go over it, I don't want to talk about my pregnancy much, but some of the things that did happen were early pregnancy, I had an ovarian cyst, caused me a lot of pain and made me have to go to the hospital, which everything was fine, it was just very painful. And then I had weekly iron infusions with Oliver, and so I had to go to the hospital every week, get hooked up to an IV, and get infusions for iron because I was actually taking iron pills, but my body wasn't dissolving them like it should have been. So I had to get an IV every week. And then I had multiple urinary tract infections. Eventually, one of them turned into a kidney infection. I didn't get out of bed for like 2 or 3 days, and I was just feeling absolutely horrible. I had a fever. I mean, I didn't take my temperature. I didn't really put it together that I had a fever. I just felt horrible. And I had pain in my stomach. So I called my doctor, and they told me that it was just normal pregnancy pains and that, it was just round ligament pains of my ligaments stretching. So I didn't think anything of it really, but I mean, I told them that I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days, I think, at that point. And she just said, try to get out of bed, do what you can, get up and move around. And so I hung up. I was like, okay, I'll just see what happens. I'll wait it out. If it's really a lot worse, I'll go to the hospital. So I ended up going to the hospital, I think that night. And they said, you look fine, you're acting like you're in pain, but like nothing should be wrong with you. And then finally they took my temperature and they saw that I think it was 101.7. Right away they thought, oh, you must have an infection somewhere. Obviously I stayed in the hospital for that. They concluded that I did have an infection. They put me on antibiotics, and they couldn't exactly find where the infection was in my body, but they just assumed that it was a kidney infection. Alright, Willow's gonna come sit with us. Hi, Willow. Can you say hi to everyone? Okay, so back to Oliver. This video is about Oliver. We'll do yours next, okay, Willow? At 32 weeks, I went to the doctor because I was feeling a lot of pressure, like pushing downwards. So I ended up going in to an emergency appointment that night, and they told me I was 3 centimeters and 80% effaced. The doctor's office was pretty much like, it was right across from the hospital. Like, there was a parking lot in between the two, so they're pretty much connected. They were like the same place. So the doctor wheeled me over to the hospital and brought me up to a hospital room, which was kind of neat. And I ended up staying in the hospital for a little while. I got magnesium to stop the contractions, which I was on for quite a while. I don't know exactly how long. And then I got shots to try to stop the labor. I got shots for to develop his lungs, just in case I did have him early. At that point, I was dilated to 3 centimeters, and I was, I think, 80% effaced. So I was thinking that I was gonna have him very soon. And he ended up staying in for, I think I was in the hospital for about a week, maybe a little less. And then I went home on complete bed rest, and I ended up being home for another week. So 2 weeks later, at 34 weeks, I had him, which is still premature. But it's really good that we got to get shots for his lungs, and it's really good that he grew a little bit more. Now, about my labor. At 34 weeks and 3 days, that night, I had like leaking a little bit. I didn't think it was my water breaking though. I didn't think anything of it. So I went to bed, and then I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with moderate contractions. I mean, they weren't excruciating right away, but within a few contractions, and they were 5 minutes apart at this point, I think, and within a few contractions, they started getting extremely intense, like very bad. So I was having contractions after 2 o'clock when I woke up. They started getting more intense, and then at 2:30, a half hour after I woke up Tyler, and I told him that I was having bad contractions, but I wasn't sure if I was in labor or not. It just hurt really bad. And so I knew I was having contractions like 5 minutes apart, which is when they usually tell you to go in. So I was thinking I was in labor, but I was still kind of doubting it, not 100% sure. And then finally I was like, okay, these are really bad. I just want to go in to make sure everything's okay, even if I'm not in labor. We ended up leaving around like 2:40, I believe, because it takes about 20 minutes to get to the hospital. So we drove to the hospital. In the car, my contractions were getting extremely bad. At this point, I pretty much really like knew I was in labor. So Tyler ended up calling my doctor while we were in the car, because I couldn't talk at that point. They were just extremely bad. They were, I want to say like 3 minutes apart at this point in the car. And so he talked to the doctor, and she said, she was asking all the details. She was asking how far apart my contractions are and all those details. And he said, well, they're 3 minutes apart, but we're in the car, we're on our way, we'll be there in a minute. And so they said, okay, we'll see you when you get here. And so we went into the hospital. We went in through the emergency room because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I was sitting there having contractions in the wheelchair. I barely remember this because it was just I was in so much pain. It happened so quickly. And it's just, I don't remember it because it was just so fast. So I was sitting in the emergency room. Tyler was telling them I'm in labor, and someone from the labor and delivery floor came down to get me in the wheelchair, brought me up. As we were, I think it was right when we got out of the elevator, my water broke. So I was in the hallway when my water broke, and in the wheelchair, and I didn't realize it because I was just focusing on my pain. And then we got into the room, and that's when I noticed my water broke. And I went into the bathroom, changed into the hospital gown, and I sat on the toilet. They told me to use the bathroom. I sat on the toilet through 2 or 3 contractions, I think, and then ended up I went and laid down in the hospital bed. Tyler was there. I think the doctor came in pretty much right away. And then I was laying down. She checked me to see how it was progressing, what was going on and everything. What she said to us when she looked was, okay, he's coming right now. He has brown hair. Get ready to push. And then all the doctors came in within like a minute or two, all the nurses and everyone else that's in the room when you have a baby. And so they all came in pretty fast, and then I pushed, I believe I did a practice push and then 2 more, and he was out. So it was extremely fast. 3:14 he was born. He was born at 3:14 a.m. and we got there at 3 o'clock. And that means we could have had him in the car, which would be scary for my first baby, but we would have managed. Honestly, because I didn't get an epidural. I had him completely natural, because I had to. When I was in the elevator going up to the room, I actually told the nurse that I wanted to get an epidural, and she was like, okay, we'll go up and get your IV in, get everything ready. And then I didn't end up getting my epidural, so it was all natural. But yeah, I mean, overall, since it happened so fast, it wasn't a bad labor. I mean, it wasn't bad. So after he was born, he was, like I said before, he was 34 weeks, which is premature. He was 5 pounds 5 ounces, which is big for a 34-week baby. They took him away, weighed him. They had to make sure, he was breathing and he was okay because he was premature. And then whoa. And then they gave him back to me for just a minute or two. It wasn't long. I was really upset about this. And they took him away, brought him right up to the NICU. Tyler, my husband, went with him into the NICU. And I was sitting there alone. I just had a baby, didn't even get to really hold my baby for more than a couple minutes, and I mean, it was pretty sad. And then my mom and grandmother came and sat with me. His mom, Tyler's mom, came and went up with him to see the baby and in the NICU. And then once she was done, my grandmother and mom went up there to see him, and then I went up. I think I went up after his mom, and then I don't know. But anyway, so once I went up there, he was all hooked up to wires, and he had an IV, I believe. I don't exactly remember. I'll insert pictures here, and I have a short video I'll insert of him in the NICU. I think before I even saw him, Tyler made a video of him in the NICU. I think it was 10 days he was in the hospital in the NICU, which for a 34-week baby is really, really amazing. He did really well. I don't know how much people know about what they do in a NICU and the monitoring and everything, but I have them on little monitors saying if they, stop breathing for a second or like choke a little bit, it will be on the monitor. And I think that happened a couple times, but it wasn't bad at all. And then at one point he had a feeding tube, which we didn't use. It was just there just in case. He was in an incubator for a little bit. Yeah, your brother. But overall he did really well. He did develop a little bit slower than other babies, but now he's 2 years old and he's big and healthy, and you can't even tell that he was premature. I'm going to be posting her birth video. She had a complicated birth too, a strange birth. I've had 2 very unexpected, strange, eventful births. So look out for that next video that I'll be posting. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of us. And thank you for watching. Bye.